Okay guys, today I'm gonna talk to you about how to back up and restore a database manually. So the first thing you have to do is go to your cPanel, then scroll down, then get to phpMyAdmin. Now there are different ways of doing this, but this is a way that I mainly use. So just click on it and log in if you have to. Some cPanels don't ask you to, HostMonster does. Okay, I'm going to go to testing panel, which is the database I'm going to be using for this demonstration. Now, at the bottom here, it tells us that it's 5,072 records, and the size of it is 1 MB. So we're gonna back this one up. How we're gonna do it is when you came in, as you see, I haven't went anywhere else right here in this database. So I'm just going to go to export, and here I'm going to go select everything, make sure it's on SQL, and then I'm going to take this one, and I'm going to take this one, and I'll take this one off, and I'm going to change this to 500, and I'm going to give this one name backup 1. Now you can keep it as none, you can change it to gzip. I keep it as none because I like the file to be just .sql. Then go, and just save it. Okay, it's done. So we just backed up this database, and okay, I have to bring it back up. Open the containing folder. Okay, so here's our file. This is your entire backup, and as you see, it's a very small file, so you don't need to worry about, oh my god, I'm going out of space here. Okay, to demonstrate how to restore it, I'm just gonna go and I'm gonna delete the whole thing. So just check everything, go to drop, and yes. Okay, going to this database, as you see, there is no tables here, there is no records, nothing exists. So how am I going to restore it? I'm going to go to import, I'm going to go to browse, okay, and in here I'm going to go down to here, and I'm going to go open it. I'm going to untick this one, and I'm going to go. Usually it takes a bit time to actually do this, and to restore it. Backup is much faster, and the reason for it is in a backup it just gonna go through them and dump them out into one file, creating one script for you. But when it comes to restoring, it actually has to go through each query and it has to execute them. That's why it's taking so long to do it. Okay, as you see, 22 tables as it was before, 1 MB, the size of it, and 5,072 records. Okay, now I'm gonna tell you exactly what option means what. So if I go to export, alright, this one that I took off, and all these three going to be added into the header of the file. What is the header? If I just open this, and if I open this with Notepad, should take a while for it to open it. Okay. Not a good idea to resize. Okay, till here. Or here actually. Right. Anything above this is a header. Okay, and I told it to don't put any comments in here, because comments are generally ignored and it's just going to add to your file size. Or do any of the rest of them. You can disable the foreign key, for example. These are the important stuff, and the reason for that is this part going to deal with your tables, how they created, what they're going to be using, and all that. Add drop table means that it's going to delete the table. That drop table means just delete the table. If it's already there, just delete it. If not exist, if the table doesn't exist, and then here we telling it to create it, meaning if it doesn't exist, create it. If it does exist, first delete it. Then it comes down and we telling it if it doesn't exist, then we tell it to create it. And the reason that we do this is if someone hacks to your database and they put their email address or their website address or anything else in your database, you don't want to restore the rest of the data into the database. You just want to wipe the whole thing clean and put back the data that you already know it's the correct data in your database. So when you do this, it will just delete the whole thing and put it back in. So you don't need to worry about anything else. Another thing that I did here was I changed this 50,000 into 500, and the reason that I did that is because if your file is too large, if you have a huge database, what will happen is this export function, what it does is it's going to put all of it into one huge command. And if you start using huge commands in MySQL, some servers, including HostMonster, will actually cut you off. You might get away with 1000, you might not. That would depend on a server, but 500, it's a very reasonable number, and it doesn't make much of a difference to you. But if they cut you off in middle of importing, what will happen is you have some of the tables there, you have some of the data in there, but you don't have half of your database. And if you're running something like PrestaShop or WordPress, it's just not going to work. The whole system just going to crash. Okay? Now, in import. In imports, the only thing here that I changed was this tick, which basically does what it says on a can. If you untick this, you won't allow the server to cut you off. If you let it to be ticked, which is default, they have the option to cut you off in the middle of running the whole import. And it's for large files. So if you have a file something like 10 meg, if you have something like 2 or 3 meg, I usually just untick this because doesn't matter what file size it is, I just don't want to be cut off. So just to be in a safe side, I always untick this. Okay, I hope this tutorial helps. I'm Sam from Developers Creed. You have a good day.